Hey, good morning, guys. What's going on? Welcome to what really is a part two of Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia. We had a conversation last night about Howard University and some stuff going on there, some student protests. And we had to come back this morning because after we talked about Howard and what's going on, we got a lot of interesting comments on my Instagram. And I thought it would be interesting to kind of read through some of them just so we can kind of have a public discussion about this in terms of what's going on with the HBCUs. And so first I want to say good morning, babe. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Good morning. How you doing?
Doing good, doing
Are
good.
you okay?
Yeah, we literally are still in the bed. We literally do our podcast from the bed. I don't know. I assume somebody else has probably done this before, but this is so my voice sounds a little bit like you get that crinkle in your
That
voice when you
morning
just wake up.
groggy voice.
That morning groggy voice where you sound like that. Yeah, that voice. Yeah. Anyway, what's going on, Mike Jones and Terrence Wilson and Chade and Jashawn and Knowledge is Power DDS? What's going on, brother? Good to see you again. Yeah. So here's what um happened, right? So, and I'll let my wife chime in for sure. So we did a podcast last night, right? We were talking about what's going on at Howard, right? Howard University students are pretty pissed. They're protesting right now. Apparently protesting some conditions in the dorms involving mold. These are some of the pictures that I found online in terms of stuff that's happening in the dorms. And now
Ugh.
again, like that one kind of just looks like a big pile of shit right there. I mean, I don't know what the hell that is, right? But that made us curious, right? So we decided, okay, let's look into this. Let's see what's going on over here. And then we started. Then I saw a comment that kind of floored me a little bit. It was a comment where somebody claimed on my Instagram that they got robbed or that their cousin. Actually, I'm sorry, it was their cousin. Their cousin got robbed at gunpoint in the dorm. Right now, this is one comment for one person, not verified but concerning, right? Especially those of you, those of us who have kids. I don't know about y'all, but we have kids. We have a daughter that says, "Oh, I want to go to an HBCU," and we know Howard's going to be near the top of the list. And we saw this comment about, somebody saying that somebody got robbed at gunpoint. Now, mind you, things happen, right? Every campus has its horror stories. This does not, in my view, say anything in terms of like, okay, at Howard, your kid's definitely going to get robbed at gunpoint and all that. But here's the thing. Here's why Alicia and I decided to come back on this. And Alicia, I'd like to let you talk because I'm doing too much talking. Your brother went to Howard
Mm-hmm.
and he had some crazy stories. And I know people, it's like we want to defend our HBCUs. I know I do too, but at the same time, I want to defend the black children too. And when I heard your brother's stories
Mm-hmm.
about driving all the way to campus, not having a dorm,
No
basically
food. He had no food.
no food. Okay.
No food. He had no dorm. That my grandparents drove him and his friend up there thinking they were just gonna just go and drop them off and everything would be ready and prepared for them. Oh no. They were retired at the time, so thank goodness for that. But they stayed there for a whole week just to get them settled into a place where they were somewhat safe.
Mm.
They had no dorm. They had absolutely no food to eat. Nothing. Nothing. They were not prepared for students to come to campus and learn.
Yeah. Okay. So it's interesting, right? Because you hear comments on different parts of the spectrum, right? Like Michael here says it's shameful to pay all that money and not be able to
Mhm.
sleep in peace. And I agree with that. I think at Howard, the cost of a full year is about a little bit less than $50,000. 50,000 is a lot of money, right?
Mhm.
But then Mo Black is making a point. He says sounds like average college campus. Let's forget how rape culture was at Baylor. I went to a PWI. All these schools. Now, I do agree, right? A lot of
Mhm.
college campuses have. I mean, I when I was at Syracuse, just the alcoholism was atrocious. Um, there was drug culture that what every campus has rapes and stuff like that. That's one of the reasons why I tell parents like don't have your kids going to college and getting pissy drunk every weekend just because they think that's what college students do, because that's when all the sexual assaults happen and you can't sort through who did what because everybody was drunk. And I say, like, let's kill that culture, period. Why do we have a bunch of 19-year-olds, drunk and horny and doing all kinds of stuff with each other, some voluntary, some not, and then we got to sort all that out,
Well, I mean, that element is there if you're looking for it. So, when I
right?
went to
True, good
college,
point.
I didn't have all that experience. If you want to go and party and do all of that, which is okay. I mean, there's some safe ways to do that. But at least I did not have those sort of issues, basic living condition issues that
Right.
people should not experience.
Well,
Mhm.
I will say, I know when I went to college, when I got there, they told me I had a dorm. I had a dorm. I
Right.
When I went to University of Kentucky, they told me I had a dorm. I had a dorm. When I went to Ohio State University,
Hmm.
they told me I had a dorm. I had a dorm. When you went to Indiana, they told you you had a dorm. You had a dorm.
You
It
felt
was
valued as a student.
right. There was none of this like we know we told you this, but what had happened was, and again, I don't know. I mean, I'd like for people to share their experiences because I'm gonna share some of what I saw on my Instagram, because I think this is worth hearing, and I know that we love our HBCUs, but also I hope that we love our youth enough to be honest. Because remember, right now the students are protesting. The students are not protesting because nothing's happening. They're not protesting because everything's okay. They're not protesting because the university is doing a perfect, wonderful job. They're protesting because some shit sounds pretty fucked up.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, so I think you got to be honest. You can't sit here and be like, well, these are HBCUs, and we can't say nothing bad about them. No, no, like Ronnie Q says. So you're against HBCUs now? No, are you against black students? Are you against black youth? That's the question I would ask him.
Hmm.
Like who are you for? Who are you against? So let me just share. I'm gonna
That
just
is, I mean, that is the ultimate gaslighting that you
right.
ever want to see. It's just like, okay, here they are begging for basic necessities to survive. And then it's just like, oh, now you're trying to take down Howard. Like, no, it's like really honor what they're saying and stop gaslighting someone.
Right, right,
Hmm.
right. I mean, the like when we start talking about it, we started getting flooded with comments from
Yeah.
people,
Oh, yeah.
and I think these people deserve to be heard. It's not like, and I'm not making these things. Here's a page off the Instagram. So let's look at this comments. You guys can't read it so well, and I'm trying. I want to make sure I can read it. So somebody, okay. So one comment says, "This is on my Instagram, which is the real Boyce Watkins. Feel free to come in if you have a wonderful, glaringly positive story about Howard. Then come to the Instagram. My Instagram's the real Boyce Watkins. I'll put it on the screen and leave your comment there. Right, leave your favorable comments so we can read those too. Somebody, let's see. This person says, I went to an HBCU. This is regular. The next person says most universities are right next to poverty areas. This ain't nothing new, and I do agree with that. When I
Hmm.
was at Syracuse, it was right next to the projects. University of Pennsylvania is right next to a poverty area, and you do hear stories about students getting robbed when they walk off campus. What you don't typically hear are
Hmm.
examples of students being robbed when they're like in their dorm room.
In the dorm room.
Right. That's
Hmm.
that's that's where so universities typically are able to guarantee safety. Like to say once you get in the building, you good. Right now, not to say this isn't always the case though. I am
Hmm.
sure
Hmm.
Harvard's hiding some stories or whatever, but come on now. Let's see. So somebody says, oh, they're trying to make HBCUs look bad. Howard University got exposed for mold. Now this, what is the agenda? Okay, so that's it. Because there was a
It
news
is
story.
possible that there's an agenda.
I think
Yeah,
I think that
it is
there's
possible.
always an agenda, right? So
Hmm.
so our agenda is truth, and our agenda is the youth, truth, and
Hmm.
the youth. I honestly, old fogey administrators. I'm not here to protect them. I'm just not. And my experience with Howard, I had 2 or 3 experiences with Howard. They were not positive. I'm
Hmm.
not even going to repeat those experiences because I don't want to taint the
Hmm.
conversation. But
Yeah.
literally, I have not
Hmm.
had one favorable. I mean, when I negotiated with them about possibly going to work there,
Hmm.
back in 2006, I got interviewed by a Chinese man. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm gonna be honest with you, I gotta keep it 100. I was like, why the fuck is a Chinese man determining whether or not I'm qualified to teach African American students? I was trained by the best in the world. I can't go to China and find an African American who is the gatekeeper of the Chinese finance department. Seriously, that was crazy to me. And then, and that was even after I knew, like, if I went there, I was going to take a pay cut. That part didn't bother me. I was willing to take less money and live in a more expensive city. I just wanted to be at an HBCU because I had romanticized in my head what that would be like, and the fantasy's dead. And y'all know what happened in 2015 when I went
Mhm.
there. When Farrakhan was having his thing in DC, and we gathered there, and Howard, they had told us we could use the space or whatever. And then when they saw how many people showed up to hear me speak, they freaked out and just put a sign up. Didn't say nothing, didn't call us nothing. Just put up a sign that said the event's canceled. So hundreds of people were outside the building, like, what's going on? Why can't we go in? Like, it was just trifling. So I don't know. Anyway, let me read more. And did you have
But there
something?
are some good things at Howard. Like you do an interview with Rock Newman on Howard's campus.
Yes.
That's always a good interview.
Shout out to Rod
Oh,
Newman.
yes,
Rod
yes.
Newman's a real one. He's a good man, and I have a
Hmm.
tremendous amount of admiration for him. Let me read another comment
Hmm.
here. Another comment says, let's see. Very interesting. We are in the application process with our senior, and this is concerning.
Hmm.
Someone else says, in his dorm room, wow. I know when I was going there, security was pretty tight at the front desk. Okay. So this person says that the security's good, right? So obviously the stories are gonna be mixed. So let me actually read more. This is off my Instagram, which is the real Boyce Watkins. Since I can't make it big on the screen, what I'm gonna do is I will just read the comments directly. And I'm just gonna read them literally straight down. So I think Maj Toure made the first comment, from Black Guns Matter.
Okay.
He said, "This is yet another reason why Black Guns Matter."
Okay.
So
Thank you, Mashere.
Maj keeps a
That's a
gangster. Yeah,
surprising.
Maj is like, send your child to college with a gun in his pocket and
Oh
he'll
my
be okay.
goodness.
Shout out to Maj Toure. He's coming to the All Black National Convention because I do think that we need to have honest conversations about guns, but I don't know if I'm gonna send my freshman to college with a gun.
Loaded. Hmm.
Yeah, so let's see. The next question is let's see. So our next comment. Somebody says, as a Howard alum, this is from Sirhan LaFleur. He says, as a Howard alum, this is nothing new. It was worse when I was there. Gentrification has lightened that burden. As far as the dorms, the board just approved funding for renovations. Relax, y'all. So that's good. That's him.
Okay.
That's a statement that's honest yet hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just disappointing that they let it get to the point where it is right now. It seems like it's pretty dilapidated in some areas.
Well,
It's
I mean,
just
this is not good PR. Images like
mm-mm,
this, with
no.
nasty fungus mold, it seems to me that they would be on top of it in a minute, And Angie says Howard University sold out a long time ago,
Yeah.
and that's the
Hmm.
thing. There's a mixed view. Like, we want to believe HBCUs are just reflective of the essence of blackness on every level, and I think that idea can be challenged a little bit because remember, Howard University is right down the street from Dr. Claude Anderson. And Dr. Claude Anderson is the greatest economic thinker of our time. I mean, that's why Ice Cube shouted him out during the presidential election, Kanye West. All these people, they know about powernomics. They know that that's a solution for black people. And my thought is, I bet if I look down the list of speakers Howard University has invited on their campus in the last year, there's plenty of like non-interesting white people on the list. Plenty of, of mediocre black people that made the list, but yet you have a guy down the street that many millions of people consider him to be the modern day Marcus Garvey, and you can't even make room for him to speak. That means there's an agenda to block certain ideologies in the black community. That means that there are people that are black that don't want to hear from certain other people who are black, right? So, because at least I'll talk about Howard on this platform. I don't act like Howard doesn't exist. I'll even allow people, like, again, if you have a positive comment, come make the comment, and I'll share the comment, right? But if you in here just hating, like Ronique says, it's disappointing that the two of you here are tearing down HBCUs based on the story about Howard. Ain't nobody tearing down nothing. Howard is tearing themselves down. I did not make up that moldy picture. I did not put the mold in the
You
dorm.
didn't Photoshop this
I
picture.
didn't Photoshop none of this. I didn't make up, like, all these students that are protesting right now, the living conditions. Go talk to them. If you think that that this is nonsense, go talk to the students. Go ask them what they think. Maybe who knows? Maybe if we didn't have the convention coming up, I'd take a trip to DC and I'd say,
Hmm.
tell me your story. Because anybody who's saying like, oh, we need to keep this quiet and blah blah blah, why would you do that? Why do you not care about young black people? So anyway, let me keep going. Let me read more of the comments. I'm literally reading straight down the list. You can go to my Instagram, which is the real Boyce Watkins, and and you can see the comments for yourself. You can chime in. You can jump in the discussion. If you have another story, I want to hear it. So I want to hear the good stories and the bad. So let's see. Somebody says, "Who the fuck would rob a college student?" I think that's funny because I know if you robbed me, you'd have been
That's
very
pretty
disappointed.
desperate.
Right, right.
I'm robbing you. Trying to get some.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd have got like two pencils and a tic tac. Um, the conscious RN says every class at Howard University had to protest the ill treatment at Howard. My
Mm.
class protested as well. I'm sad and shocked my alma mater is still doing this to their students. So this doesn't sound like somebody who has a vendetta against
It's a
Howard.
pattern.
This sounds like a person who's disappointed, right? So again, if y'all can go and have people tell stories about, Bill Cosby and R. Kelly and all this other stuff, whatever people are doing, then why can't we also talk, tell stories about honest stories about what happened to Howard? The difference between things like, like again, I'm not any level of defending R. Kelly. Y'all know that. Lord knows. I was concerned that black people were defending him 20 years ago. But here's the thing. The difference between some of the, between like what Dream Hampton did on the surviving R. Kelly thing versus this is that we're providing positive and negative. We're letting people give their honest assessment. If you watch some of these hit pieces, they only give you one side of the story. So my thing is, it's one thing if you have people telling a story where they're only giving the negative. It's another thing when people say, "Well, give us the negative and the positive. Let's read it all." Right? That's what I wanted to hear. So when you talk about whether it's anybody, um, they're guilty or not, I want to hear all sides of the story. So anyway, let me keep going. Yeah, please hit the like button, like, share, subscribe. All right, so let's see here. Let's see. A Black TV says that's DC, not Howard. Probably was looking like an easy come up. Somebody says black firearms matter. Another person says my parents never let me apply to HBCUs. I didn't even give it a thought. As I got older, I wondered what the HBCU experience was like or is like. Yeah, I think it seems like it's actually quite like the good can outweigh the bad.
You do
Um,
get a black experience.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Militant Gorilla says this happens at all universities, especially ones located near metro hubs. Georgia Tech
Mm.
was the same
I
way.
wonder about that.
I don't know. I mean,
I
if it,
because there's other universities in Washington D.C. that I don't think has living conditions like that. Like what happened? I thought Black Lives Mattered.
yeah,
Black
I
Lives
know.
Matter, man.
Get Black Lives Matter on the job.
It's
Well, you
supposed to
got. Well,
matter.
I mean, Kamala Harris lives right down the street. She's
She
in.
is
This is
right in walking distance to that
Yeah.
campus.
So Kamala, she was skiing on the yard during the election. I hope maybe Kamala will march down there and fix the situation.
Hmm.
Let's see. If somebody says Howard will do better. Unfortunately, I think robbery may be an urban university experience. Students get robbed on Emory's campus, Georgia Tech, Vandy, NYU, CU. Needless to say, the list goes on. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but the person said in the dorm room, or in the dorm. Like it's. I think in the area is different from on the campus, and on the campus is different from in the dorm.
In the actual dorm.
Like if you're inside the dorm, you're supposed to feel safe. Anyway, let me see here. Let's see. Hell, all college in the ghetto or in the hood and the areas around them are the ghetto. Okay. Somebody says in '01, Howard students were living in the Doubletree Hotel for the lack of rooms. Well, Doubletree Hotel is pretty
Interesting.
nice
That's
though.
not so bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it
Double.
looked like they just
Well,
have a big problem on their hands.
at least it wasn't like Motel 6.
Yeah, DoubleTree is pretty
The
decent.
DoubleTree is nice. Like I used to really like wish I
I
could
used
afford it.
to.
I used to wish I could afford a DoubleTree.
With the
Um,
cookies. Have you had the DoubleTree cookies?
oh, the cookies are so
Oh
good.
my God.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So in Infinite says, I'm quite sure this has happened at many college campuses around the country. Okay. Someone says it's on Georgia Ave, not the safest area. We support these black colleges, but they are not really producing any black leaders. Well, that's true. One critique Dr. Claude Anderson has of a lot of HBCUs is that they create lots of black people who are being basically trained to go work for white people. And if you remember Howard University, does anybody know, just generally speaking, like just a little Howard trivia? Who founded? Who's the
Oh
founder of
no,
Howard
it's founded by
University?
a white person. Yeah, we know. Most people know that history, right?
I don't know. I don't know if people. I think people would assume the founder would be black. And maybe a lot of people haven't even thought about it. But yeah, he's
It
a
is founded by a white person.
maybe he was one of the good white folks. They say, like the liberals, they teach you that you got allies. They teach you that you got good white folk and you got bad white folk. Right. So a good master better than no master at all. Right. So this is the guy.
There he
I
is.
guess his name is what, John Howard or something. Otis Howard. Oliver Otis Howard. and that is the founder of Howard University. And uh, and I really couldn't understand how this guy was the founder of Howard University. Why would this white man want to create a university full of black people? So let me read here. I'm gonna read a little bit about Howard University's founder. He is this is from the New England Historical Society.com.
Mm-hmm.
Lord. General Oliver Otis Howard thought he was fighting the Civil War to preserve the Union, not to free any slaves. Howard had earned the nickname of the Christian General for his deep, overbearing piety. His men didn't always appreciate his hectoring them about the Ten Commandments or the evils of booze. Another one of those real religious white people. You know how they would go to Africa and try to civilize the savages. They're like, we'll give you food if you read this Bible.
Missionaries.
Oh my God! Shoot, you know what the horrible things they done to black people in the name of Christianity. My
Mm-hmm.
gosh, he says his moral certainty led him to great achievements and terrible deeds. He founded Howard University, which educated 150,000 freed slaves, but he later led a massacre of women and children belonging to the Nez Perce tribe because they
Whoa.
wouldn't move to a reservation. But sometimes Oliver Otis Howard couldn't rely on his moral compass. During the Civil War, he faced a puzzling dilemma. Should he disobey orders and allow a fugitive from slavery her freedom? So he was born in Leeds, Maine, November 8th, 1830. His mother sent him away to live with relatives after his father died. He graduated from Bowdoin College at 19 and went on to West Point. He ranked fourth in the class of 46. Let me see here. His military career, like the rest of his life, veered from highlight to lowlight. He won the Medal of Honor for leading the charge at the Battle of Fair Oaks, which cost him his right arm. But he suffered see, I'm embarrassed. I can't read that word. Ignominious.
Mm. Just keep going.
Anyway, he suffered major defeats at Chancellorsville and Gettysburg. His men started calling him "Uh-oh Howard." So after the Civil War, he led the Freedmen's Bureau, a reconstruction program to
Ah.
help former slaves. The bureau had hundreds of agents in the South distributing food and medicine and finding jobs and schooling for the new citizens. Howard issued an order to divide up land from confiscated plantations and give it to people who'd worked them as slaves. But while he vacationed in Maine, President Andrew Johnson reversed his order. In the end, anyone who'd received the promised 40 acres and a mule had to give them back. So he doesn't seem like a
Ah.
bad guy. Like,
He is a good white person.
yeah, as far as good white folks go, like he seems like he was trying to do the right thing. Like, so he was giving black people 40 acres and a mule. And Johnson viewed Oliver Otis Howard as a fanatic and tried to stymie him at every turn. Howard eventually concluded Southerners were still fighting the Civil War and couldn't change their attitudes. So he turned his energies to education and he established a school that bears his name today, Howard University. Howard explained the importance of Howard University in his 1908 autobiography. In the South, white people who opposed educating black people wouldn't permit any room or building for use as a school. From 1865 to 1867, mobs all over the South burned schools and churches used in all churches that were used as schools. They flogged teachers and drove them away. A number of times they murdered them. Howard University started on 3 acres in Washington, D.C. Classes began in 1867 with 5 students, all daughters of the school's white founders. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Huh.
Though it emphasized teacher training, Howard added a law school, a medical school, and a seminary under its first president. Eventually, black students and faculty would outnumber whites, and Howard today produces more black doctors than any other university. Alumni include Toni Morrison, Andrew Young, Kamala Harris, and Thurgood Marshall. Oliver Otis Howard's efforts on behalf of the former slaves earned him plenty of enemies, and they got him charged with corruption in running the Freedmen's Bureau. After years of litigation, the courts exonerated him, but he nearly went bankrupt paying his lawyers. In 1872, Congress abolished the Freedmen's Bureau. So, for his next act, he moved west to kick Indians off their land. He commanded the
Oh.
Department of the Columbia from Fort Vancouver in Washington Territory. His men pursued and slaughtered Nez Perce Indians who refused to move to a reservation. In Howard's mind, he tried to do for the Indians what he had tried to do for free slaves. He was giving them land on which they could lead good Christian lives, only they refused. Finally corralled into a reservation in Oklahoma, many died of disease. Howard finally commanded the. So it's interesting. It's
So he.
almost like he was willing to work with black people because black people made good slaves. That they did what
Hmm.
they did what
He
they
was
were
very strategic.
they would be good, Christians who
Hmm.
did what he told them to do, And that there, so to me, that really,
That's Howard
that
University.
reminds me of when I saw that big mural of Abraham Lincoln on the side of a building at Howard. That's
Hmm.
how I knew where the campus, because I didn't know exactly where the campus was in the city, and I saw a big mural of Abraham Lincoln. I said, I bet that's Howard. And because so it seems to me that Howard reflects that long tradition where black people saw the white liberal as their friend and ally, when really the relationship though possesses a different kind of racism, almost like a paternalistic racism
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
says, look, Negro, as long as you do what we say and as long as you serve our interests, we will be very nice to you.
That's right.
But if you start acting like those crazy Native Americans who don't want to do what they're told and don't want to just sort of sign up for for the whole white Christian package or whatever they're selling, then we're gonna go kill you. We're
Hmm.
gonna take you out. So if you move forward 100 and something years later, look at the way Howard kind of deals with somebody like a Dr. Claude Anderson.
Hmm.
He doesn't make a good slave. He's not, he's actually talking about black people really having sovereignty and power, and not just saying, look at how many white friends we have. Mm, I think
There it
we
is.
cracked the code.
You cracked the code. Hmm.
Interesting, interesting. So anyway, there's more comments. If you go to the Real Boys Watkins on Instagram, you can read the comments. There are a lot of interesting stories people are sharing, good and bad, about Howard. I know some people are mad. They think that we're hating on HBCUs or whatever. No, we're not hating on HBCUs. We're hating on mold in the Howard doing. That's what we're hating on. We're hating on.
Potentially
This
deadly
is what we, yeah,
situations.
this is what we hating on. And I share with you guys, like, this is why the mold thing is so serious. I'll just read like some of the effects of mold exposure. I didn't know this. My accountant told me that she lives in DC and she was exposed to mold. And this is some of the stuff we found. It says blindness, hypersensitivity, pneumonitis, histoplasmosis, long term memory loss, bleeding lungs, kidney failure, liver disease, cancer, and death. Now, that's level 3. That's like if you've been exposed to mold for long periods of time. Now, if you go to level 2, which is milder, let me see. Actually, let's see. You got chronic sinusitis, chronic bronchitis, pain in the muscles and joints, asthma, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, coughing up blood or black looking debris, nervous disorders, neurological disorders, heart palpitations, blurred vision, swollen glands, weight loss, chronic fatigue, loss of appetite, depression, open skin sores and lesions, fungal nails, sexual dysfunction, and thyroid conditions. So anybody who thinks that we just sitting here hating, like, oh, y'all be hating, that's the number. That's like, to me, if you ever want to get me to ignore you, just come and say something stupid like that. Like, that's like ignorant talk. Like, you just be hating. You just be hating. Anybody who thinks that we're hating, um, I'm sorry, but I don't want our kids, like, I don't want kids exposed to mold. I think if you pay big money to go to college, if this is an issue, then fix the goddamn issue so we don't have to talk about it. Or, then that's just my 2 cents on it. I'm not sending my child to go and be in a space where they got promised a dorm and they might not have one. I'm not sending my child to the middle of chaos. So anyway, babe,
Okay,
I'm being too
that's
hard.
it.
I'm being too hardcore. Would you like to soften it with a final point? Because I know how I can get. When I
Well, I mean, it's
go ahead.
looking promising that they said they're actually going to start paying attention to this. It's just too bad that it had to get to the point where this has been pretty systematic. Students demanding things that should be given to them. Oh, and then when you're looking for a university and colleges, it's important to travel there, visit there before you send your child off, and take a look at the dorms. You're supposed to have a campus visit and talk to some students there. Pull them to the side. I know that's what we did. I pulled some students to the side and say, what is it really like here? So I think that's
Hmm.
important.
Yeah,
And they'll tell you.
they sure will. They sure will.
You know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully they'll get it fixed. And if they do, if something good happens, we'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
We're not here to just talk about the bad stuff. We'll talk about the good. But I'm gonna tell you what. It's not a good look that Howard University has never had
Mm-hmm.
somebody like Dr. Claude Anderson come to campus. That's an agenda. That's an agenda to keep Black people in the position that we're in, as opposed to being exposed to new ideas that truly empower us. So, I think Howard's wonderful, but remember, we got other people. We got other people out here that are educating Black people at a really epic level. And actually, in case you're looking for some alternatives out there, our All Black National Convention happens this month. We're going to be in Orlando, and we have literally 60 black people. Many of them are multimillionaires. They are therapists. They are educators at all levels. They are real estate experts. They are health experts. And we our goal is to come up with solutions. Some of them are university faculty. Dr. Maurice Green, the head of the Black Doctoral Network, which has thousands and thousands of Black doctoral students and PhDs in the organization. He's going to be there. We got so many great people. The head of the Black Business League, Kim Burns, is going to be there. So you got some Black leaders in your community who ain't scared. You got some Black people in your community who maybe have been so committed to solving problems for Black people that they don't, they're not going to get recognized by Bank of America. They're not going to be recognized by the Joe Biden administration. But these are the people that are out here really trying to help you, man. And I think they deserve just as much respect as that Chinese man who was
Making a decision.
running the finance department when I interviewed at Howard. Like seriously, I mean, really, like if you think about it, you know, I don't understand that. I think if you're at HBCU, I'd like to see a lot of African American faculty in every department. And I knew a brother who was a computer science expert. I forgot it's a Juan something, and he was one of the leading computer science experts of the country. He had a massive lab where he was training all these computer science PhDs, and he said that at a lot of HBCUs, he can't get them to hire African American PhDs in computer science. They hire
Hmm.
Asians and Indians and whatever. And I don't know. I'd love to hear his perspective on that, but there's something that's not quite right. So rather than simply saying let's get rid of the schools, I think that they do serve a great purpose. But remember, we can build better schools too that actually achieve the goal. And if you are blocking people like Dr. Claude Anderson, but not blocking the racists that harm our community, then I'm gonna give you the side eye. I'm sorry. But that's just my perspective. So that's it, guys. I didn't mean to be
Yep.
so serious on a
No, this is
Tuesday
serious
morning.
stuff. Okay.
Yes, it is. And good luck to the students at Howard. If any student wants to reach out and come on the platform and tell
Yeah.
your story, we welcome that. Also, but any administrator too. If there's an
Hmm.
administrator who says, no, 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 you got it wrong, we have another point of view, I'd like to hear their perspective also.
Hmm.
I don't want to be unbiased, or I don't want to be, well, I want to be unbiased. I don't want to be unfair. So, all right, guys, well, hit the thumbs up button, hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button. Love you guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And allblacknationalconvention.com is where you can go if you'd like to learn more about the convention. And if you are a college student and you're listening, college students get in free. Just bring a student ID, and we'll let you have free access to the conference. So take care, everybody. Talk to you soon. Love you. Peace.